So today we're going to cover ToDo and Paperfree. So why would you use ToDo? So ToDo gives you the ability to route invoices, purchase orders, or subcontracts to the system to make sure that all pricing and everything is accurate, approved by the project manager prior to it being posted and hitting job class. Okay. ToDo and Paperfree are kind of married. Now you can use one without the other, but once you set up the ToDo rules, they do flow in your Paperfree pretty nicely. Then you can, there's a button where you can create all your reviewers, and they're linked perfectly together. Everything is attached to the invoice, and there's no question on who it should be routed to and whatnot. So we're going to go through all of that today. Okay. So we'll start with ToDo first, since it's the setup portion. So we'll go through, I'll show you how to set up on the system level, on the vendor level, on the job. Once all the rules are set up, we can set sequences up as well. So if there's multiple people that need to be approvers, I can show you how to get those in. And after that is done, we'll go through and we'll create a Paperfree batch and show you how it flows, how all the rules that you set up flows into Paperfree, and everything gets routed to the right person. Does anyone have any questions so far? Okay. Awesome. If not, I'll go ahead and get started. So I'm just going to share Plexxis. Okay. So you guys should be looking at Plexxis right now with a blank screen. I'm moving my cursor. So I'm going to go under ToDo and then Setup. Okay. So just like everything in Plexxis, the green plus button is to create it. So if you hit the green plus button, you can pick if you want to set this up based on the vendor, the GL account, the expense type, or the dollar value. Now, these aren't the only rules. The ones that are the most common are for the project manager on the job to approve all invoices. Okay. These are more if you want to set up rules that are linked to dollar values or vendors, GL accounts, or money. Okay. So I'll show you how to go through and set up a simple one, like for a vendor. So I'm going to click OK. Okay. Then I'll click the vendors button here and select a vendor. Okay. So now I have this vendor selected, Joe's Drywall. I did fill in my description. I can apply this to a specific branch if you guys are multi-branch, multi-company. If not, you just leave it blank. Apply amounts to each line item. So once we set up all these rules, I'll add here, we can set up from and to dollar value. So if you wanted him to have to approve up to $20,000, you can set that up. And what the line flag would allow would be specific to each line on the invoice. So you can have multiple detail lines on an invoice. If you flag it, then it's going to look at each line. If you don't flag it, it's going to look at the invoice as a whole, which is the most common. Okay, if I had another approver on here, I can set their sequence to 2, which would mean now any invoice, so let's say this is from $0. Every invoice that's from Joe's Drywall will have to be approved by Charlie and Chad, since we have both of them in here based on this dollar value. Okay. Same thing applies for GL account. So if I were to hit the plus button and set a rule based on a GL account, I would specify my account. And then have certain users have to be approvers before it's posted to that account. Everyone good so far? Any questions on how to set up these rules? Okay, awesome. Okay, so we'll go through the most common settings. So under System Settings and the AP tab, you are able to restrict bill reviewers and PO reviewers over here. So you see how it says bill review requirements project manager and PO review requirements project manager? This means that every time a bill is put into the system, I want it to automatically look at the project manager on the job and set them as a reviewer. Okay. Now this doesn't go back to and retroactively add this setting on jobs, but any new job that you create will have this setting in place. So I'm going to get out of here and show you how to put this on the job level. So this is the system level. So this would set this for all jobs moving forward. If you have to go back to old jobs, I'm just going to go under jobs and into the job center. Okay. I'm going to use Dippin' Dots, for example, and go to the Setup tab. So here in the Setup tab, right under General Setup, over to the far right, you'll see I'll have the same exact settings, so bill review and PO review requirements. Okay, they're both set to the project manager. So any new jobs will always have this set up because of the system settings. If not, and I need to go back to an old job, I can do so and by changing it here. Okay, so project manager means it looks at the main tab, and whoever is the project manager on the main tab is who's going to have to approve these invoices. And if you have multiple project managers, it looks at the main one. Does anyone have any questions on how to set up either the system setting, the job, or any of the rules? Okay, awesome. Okay. So under to do in the list, we'll circle back to this, but I want you guys to see what it looks like. This list is where all of your invoices, purchase orders, and subcontracts are flowing through. So if you're the reviewer, that means you're the person who has to approve it. If I double click in here, I don't have anything right now, but if I had stuff waiting on me, it would be in the pending folder, and I would have a list. So this is for bills. If it's for POs, it'd be under POs, subcontractors, etc. So the most common is obviously invoices. So when we go through Paperfree, I'll route this to myself so you guys can see what it looks like. Over here, it shows up your invoice number, the reference, and then you would use these different flags to either approve it, which sends it back to the initiator, or for you to put it on hold or reject it. As the owner, this is everything that I've sent out. So here under bill review, I have 10 that are in progress that I'm waiting on someone, 2 that have issues, and 9 that have been completed. Okay, so if everyone understands that setup, once we go through Paperfree, you can see how it flows. So if you guys are good with that and no one has any questions, I'm going to start and go into Paperfree. Okay. So under purchasing AP and Paperfree, okay, I have a couple batches in here. Okay. To create a new batch, you hit the green plus button, and then you label it. Now, you can see here some are labeled based on the vendor. This is user specific, so this depends. You can either label it by the day or you can label it by the vendor. It's just for you to be able to find this batch. Okay. Now, if I want to start adding invoices, so I got a stack of invoices in my outbox, I need to go through and put them in here. I'm going to click on Add Split and View Documents, and then grab some in here. Okay, so you just select them to drag and drop. If you can't drag and drop, you can always hit the add button and find it through the finder. Okay, so now I have all these invoices in here, and you can see how many documents I have attached to each. So I have 1. These are yellow because I don't have any invoices associated to them yet. Okay, you can see the attached to. This would give you the invoice or PO number, and I don't have anything, so it's yellow. Okay. So now the first thing you'd want to do is label this document. So I'm going to come down to the bottom and select my type, and I'm going to say AP invoice. Okay. And then I'm going to review this document. Is this one invoice or is this different invoices? So these are different invoices, so I'm going to split them. So I'm going to go to page 2, split the document so that these are all separate. These need to be separate transactions in Plexxis. If they didn't and there were 1, I wouldn't split them. I would just keep them as 1 and create the invoice from there. Okay. So now that I have my invoices labeled, down here at the bottom where it says create invoice document, bill or PO, this will actually create the document. So if I hit this blue button, okay, it's going to ask me to select a supplier. So I'm going to select a supplier. Let's do Cambridge Metals. Okay. So now my document is available here. Okay, and it's always linked to this bill, no matter what. Unless you delete out of Paperfree, which you don't want to do. So I'm going to just call this test AP. not test, test, webinar. Go ahead and put our dates in. The payment category blank. Material account. I'm going to choose my dippin.job and put the amount. Okay. So now this is done. So I've added created my bill, I've added my document in here, and you can see in the Documents tab it says that I have one attached. So you can either use the Paperfree viewer, which is this, and it pulls up Paperfree, or if you hit the View button, it'll actually just pull up the document. So now I can hit the Route button, and I can send it to whoever the project manager was on that different job, either one by one, or alternatively, if you had a whole stack and all of these were linked to one, if I hit the exit, there is a Create Viewers button in here, in the batch itself. So the best practice would be to go through and create all these invoices, mark it up if you need to. There's all these markup tools that you can use. You can either write on it, create text boxes, or just leave it blank. If the invoice is already created and you just needed to attach the actual PDF to it, instead of hitting Create Plexxis Document, you could hit Attach To and search for your invoice number. So for time's sake, I'm going to do that instead of creating all of these bills. Okay. Anyone have any questions so far on how to load or create these invoices or attach it to existing invoices? Nope. Awesome. I'm going to just finish my stack of documents here. And I'll delete one of these. All right. Okay, so now you can see that none of these are yellow anymore because they all are linked to an invoice either by me creating it or me attaching it to an existing invoice already. Okay. If I had to unsplit any of these, I can. There is an unsplit function, or move up, down. This would move the pages up or down. But as far as the process of loading the documents, it is a lot faster. As you do have all these tools available, you can split them in Plexxis rather than externally. You can mark them up if you need to in Plexxis rather than externally and loading it in, or rescanning and putting it in. Okay, so I'm just going to hit the door to exit my batch. I've created all my AP invoices are attached to, nothing's yellow. I split them. I'm going to exit. And if I didn't want to set or hit route on every single invoice itself, I can come here and hit create reviewers. So create reviewers. Now, do you want to initiate, basically asking you, hey, all of these documents that you created, do you want to mass send out and initiate all of these to the project manager? I'm going to click initiate reviewers. Okay, it's going to tell me there's 4 bills that haven't been initiated, no POs, and nothing was left. Okay. So click OK. Telling me that it's all done. So now here under unassigned documents, this is 0. So you know when everything's assigned and done, you can close the batch. So you can either close or open them. There's no restrictions on it. It just limits your list that you're seeing here. So ideally, when you're done with your batch, whether you're doing it on a vendor basis or on a daily basis or weekly, you can go through and close these batches. You can even secure it. So this is a new feature that we have added. you can secure batches. So this is corporate invoices that you don't want visible to everyone if you're in a lot of different locations. You can secure it so only an admin and yourself can see it. So these corporate invoices, I made this secure, so that means if anyone else has access to Paperfree, they can't see this unless they have the AP admin flag or they created it. All of the job-related ones, like that are materials, these don't necessarily need to be secured. It's more so the ones that you want restricted from other users. Okay, so now we've gone through, we've put the batch in, we've routed it. Under to-do in my list, you will see that there's 4 that I need to review. So I'm just going to double-click in Bill Review and look at my pending folder. These are all of those invoices that we told the project manager has to review. So what he would do is, or she would go through and hit this little box right here to look at the invoice. Maybe I got to share it. Okay. So it pulls up the invoice. You would verify pricing, make sure everything's good. As long as everything's good, go back to Plexxis. Okay. I would hit this check mark to approve it, the hand to put it on hold, or the X to reject it. This looks good to me. I have no issues with the pricing. I'm going to approve it. Okay. So now there's 3 left in his to-do and 1 that's approved. As the initiator, under my owner folder, I can see that there is 1 that's ready, that this got approved and it's back in my court. And as soon as I hit this check mark, it's now posted to the general ledger. So until it comes back to the initiator to hit the check mark, it's not actually posted or hitting job class. So now it is. And we'll just go through and approve the rest of these. So the box to view the document, which you can't see unless I share it. Okay. And the rest look good. Okay. So project manager approves all of them. They're sitting in their approved folder. As the owner, so whoever the AP clerk is, it will be in their ready folder, ready to be posted. So hitting the check mark to post it, and it's now done. It's posted GL, ready to be paid, and it's aging. Okay. Does anybody have any questions or want me to go through anything that we just went through in terms of how to set up the roles system-wide on the job level, how to create a paper-free batch, how to secure the batch, how to initiate routers on it, or anything else regarding Paperfree or ToDo?